Hello, my name is Bruce Miller, and I'm with RIMtech Consulting, and I'm here to talk briefly about our training course, Software Ready Retention Schedule for Municipalities. And when I refer to a municipality, I mean any form of local government. It could be a state, it could be a county, or a regional level of government. So this course is about um, uh, how to change or restructure your retention schedule. And no, you don't have to throw it out and rebuild it from scratch, although sometimes you do. But generally speaking, it's a restructuring of it, which I'll explain in a moment. First of all, you need to know that this is a vendor neutral course. It doesn't matter what kind of record keeping software you use for SharePoint. There are 5 products on the market, and all of this training doesn't care about which of the 5 you use, okay? So it's completely vendor neutral. Now, what exactly do we need to do to change your retention schedule? What's wrong with it? Well, in short, nothing, and in long form, everything. Here's what we have to do. There are 3 reasons why you have to restructure your retention schedule. Number 1 is to handle case records properly. The software products demand this. You cannot deploy the software unless you get case records properly structured. Case records are event-driven retention rules, and you have to get that right. Over half of all your records are case records, and if you don't get this right, you'll never be able to do disposition on your case records, which is a fatal flaw, right? Reason number 2 is the software, the retention schedule has to be machine readable, which means that we're not going to allow the users to manually classify records. If we were to allow that, your project will fail. I guarantee it. That's happened in the past. We don't want it to happen here. So we're going to automate all the record keeping processes, not get users involved at all. So that means that the retention schedule now has to be machine readable, whereas your existing retention schedule is probably written by humans, I'm guessing, and probably intended to be read and interpreted by humans. That stops with an EDRMS. So the third reason is the retention rules themselves have to be software actionable. Okay? The software has to be able to read these rules and act on them. So those are the 3 reasons why you need to restructure it. So because it's a foundation course, we divide it into 2 halves, the morning and the afternoon. In the morning, we cover all the fundamentals of EDRMS, and that means the numbers, which is how do you prove that the system is successful mathematically and definitively? So we cover that. We look at all the fundamental terms, concepts, and methods of an EDRMS. And we look at how to deal with the case records properly. And very importantly, we deal with what we call the 2 lethal threats to any EDRMS. Each threat is a mistake. If you make either one of these 2 mistakes, I guarantee you that your project will fail, and there's a possibility it might even take you down with it. We don't want that, and we'll show you what they are and how to avoid them. And think about email. We will raise the point that email consists of 4/5 of all your records. So how do we deal with email in an EDRMS? We'll cover the roles of the players in the project and how to automate in a general way, because all 5 of the software products are different in the way that they automate the records processes, but they're all similar in a generic way. Well, that's what we'll teach you, okay? So in the afternoon, we cover the specifics of how to restructure your retention schedule. We'll look at what the software demands of you and what you have to do. We'll look at how to get the case records properly documented and structured. We'll look at value-based retention. What does that mean? Well, that means that in the old days, typically a single business activity only had a single retention rule. Well, now there's no limit to the number of rules you can have. So what we can do now is we can assign retention based on the value of records. So we'll look at that. And very importantly, we'll look at the role of metadata, because in order for the machine to act on a retention rule, it has to have metadata, which in turn goes back to the SharePoint IA, or information architecture. Here's the big secret. The retention schedule drives the SharePoint IA. What is the SharePoint IA? It's the answer to this question. Where do we store our stuff in SharePoint? What libraries do we need? What do we need to call them? How many do we need? What metadata do we need? How much metadata? Well, that metadata is going to be used inside the retention rules. So do you see how the two are connected, right? In order to automate this process, the retention schedule will need metadata, which is driven by the SharePoint information architecture. So they're all linked together. We'll talk about the modes of each business activity or category. The three modes are common, shared, and local. Those are three behaviors that the libraries will have inside SharePoint, and you need to know what they are and how to build them. We'll look at privacy, which is hugely important inside a modern retention schedule, and how to structure, and document, and maintain the retention rules going forward. Okay, so a lot to cover. There's nothing really complicated in here, but it is a fair bit of work, and you have to understand what you need to do. That's what this course is about. So that's it. And in the link in the description below, you'll see 3 links here. You'll see one link for a document with more details on this course, another one for our schedule of all our courses, and a third link to register for this particular one. Thank you.